King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard have returned yet again with a brand new single and a brand new album announcement. The single is called Level 5 and the album is called Alien Metal, which sounds pretty appropriately King Gizz. In fact, it's been like over a year since they released anything crazy, right? Like, well, when I say over a year, it's literally been like, 12 and a half months or something like that. But in King Gizzard time, that's a lot of time. Phantom Island came out in 2025. I really liked Phantom Island and Flight B741. They were my favorite output for quite a long time. In fact, probably since Infest the Rat's Nest or Fishing for Fishies. Then it's kind of hit like a really fun, kind of like slightly retro, almost kind of Queen-inspired, kind of classic rock feel to them, which I really liked. I think that will probably not be the case, genre specifically at least, for the new album, Alien Metal, which is totally fine, but goddamn, these guys, how do they output so much? Like, I have seen they have been consistently touring pretty much since the last time they released music. They've been uploading on their official channel like a load of different, full live sets, all recorded and produced very nicely, and they've been really good fun. They're really fun guys to watch do their thing, and also their catalog is so eclectic now that if you go to any set, I would consider myself a fairly decent King Gizz fan. I'll probably still only recognize like half of the set. So keep going, oh wow, we got Perihelion this time. That's not had a go for a little while. Gila Monster, cool. You know what I mean? It's fun like seeing which set lists they have for each one. So I've been quite into watching those recently. But this album appears to be inspired by a series of rave shows that they've been taking around in Melbourne and all actually around the rest of the world, it would appear like. So they have built themselves like an entire custom modular synth rig that the band have, of course, named Nathan, because of course they have. And this is apparently something that has opened their eyes, as Stu said, even though, Stuart has a really good habit of just randomly being like, oh, genre, don't mind if I do. And then he's just going to write an entire album. But he said, quotes, it completely rewired my brain. I was like, I'm going to forget everything I know about music and relearn it all from scratch. Okay, that's quite a lot of stuff to learn. This is the guy who got an entire custom-made guitar called the Flying Microtonal Banana made in order to be able to record 3 albums of ridiculous microtonal music. So, this guy he will be able to forget more than most people will ever learn. But that's what keeps King Gizz really interesting. Apparently the music video also has a famous Australian actor, Vince Colissimo, who is apparently in Chopper and Underbelly, but these are things I do not know, for I am not Australian. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people in the comments like, you don't know Chopper? I'm not Australian, I bloody know Chopper. But then I did the accent. Anyway, don't do the accent. So I am quite interested to see. This is going to be, it says, the songs on Alien Metal course through techno, hardcore, house, jungle influences with familiar psychedelia. So this, in theory, sounds like it might not end up being the material that they release that I like the most, but I am also extremely curious. And also there's a good flash of the album artwork, and I like the look of it. Their album artwork is consistently pretty good, actually. So it's only going to be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs. Paltry offering, if you ask me. So we'll see. I'm not sure if it's got a release date yet, but knowing them, probably not too long from now. So I guess there's nothing much more to do but jump in and listen. So what we're going to do is I am going to play this for the first time to myself. I'm going to pause it every time there is something interesting for me to talk about. We're going to break it down, analyze, look at that kind of stuff. If you do want to see the entire song uninterrupted first, I recommend going and checking out the original video. I will link it below. Then come back here and we can go through it together and figure out just what makes this song tick. So let's jump in. Oh, okay. That is already such a hectic sound. Ooh. See, I'm going to really show my ignorance here, but is this like jungly? It sounds like what I imagine jungle sounds like. Oh my god. Maybe that's the actor. I mean, I'm expecting there's going to be a lot of just like synth tone bullshittery just flying around the entire way through, because this has got some interesting, energy to it. But I'm wondering whether this song is going to feature any like traditional instruments or not. Or even more interestingly, will it have vocals? Okay, yes, it will, sort of. So what is going on? I can definitely tell that this has been written, you know, in the context of a rave, right? Like just the tones they're using, that it's so like, I don't know, kind of not. I was gonna say it's like jarring, you know, like it really pulls your attention. It's this kind of dissonant in the way that it's approached there, but they currently haven't overlaid too much. It's been a series of like 3 different sort of musical ideas now that have had similar-ish drum patterns and energy, but they've not oversaturated with too much layering yet. We'll see if that maintains. This song is 6 minutes and 16 seconds long. It's level 5, there you go. I wonder if that level 5 thing, now based on the imagery I'm being given here, is this like a kind of Scientology little poke kind of thing? You know, you kind of like you become a rank 7 space wizard kind of deal. You know, it's kind of got this cult feeling to it, which is cool. I like that. It makes sense in the context of a band called Alien Metal, or an album, sorry, but I want to hear how much of the metal aspect of it there is there, or maybe the idea being that Alien Metal sounds like this. Okay. Oh. Okay. That's definitely kind of gone down into slightly more of a sort of drum and bass inspired. It feels like they're touching a bunch of different related genres just within this one song, which, shock and horror, King Gizz are genre bending. But I kind of like this newer one. There's sort of like slightly warmer bass tone that's coming in there is a fresh, a welcome break. This is going to be a very, very obscure pick, and I'm going to put a little clip in there to prove my point, but this reminds me of a song called Disco Dolly by Space. It's just got this, like, relentless pushing forward synthy, like, that drum line just will not stop. It's a very, well, I mean, listen to this for a second and see if I'm right. Obviously, it's kind of trancey and a little bit on the repetitive side, but I guess that is just a symptom of the genre we're listening to, which is a genre that is not something I'm that familiar with. I wonder if that's an intentional reference in the nicest, least cringe way of 3 boobies. I wonder if that is a total recall thing going on there. And also, those 2 synth lines, they're very, very similar in tone. They're actually very similar in rhythmic structure as well, but they're not quite. You can tell that someone's, you know, doing the little slidey majig that you do with a synth slightly differently. They're definitely live captured. They don't sound like they've been programmed as such. And then because they're slightly out of phase with each other, they do create this like slightly trippy feeling, which is, it's good. I like it. Okay. Yeah, see, now we're starting to get more of that layering building up. You can hear that there's like a slightly higher synth line that's been brought on the side at the same time. So you've got this vocal line. I'm wondering whether the vocals will double up at all or not. There's actually more vocals present than I was expecting, but it's starting to build up a little bit more. It's getting even more frenetic somehow, even though we started at a sprint. The video is like grotesquely fascinating. It's well shot. It's very, very sinister, but like I like the practical effects. I'm a massive sucker for horror films, if you couldn't tell, and seeing like the bits being pulled apart and all of that, it's very visceral. I'm genuinely surprised. Well, maybe it has been. I don't know if this video has been age restricted, to be honest. Okay. That's kind of a nice shot. I like that I guess maybe the machine that they pulled out of this alien is like actually kind of part of the DJ, their synth pad. They're like kind of plugging in and twisting stuff. That's kind of nice, but also good to have everything drop out for a second. Just keep those like slightly more sort of aggressive higher synths and just let the bass chill out for a second. Have us a little bit of a cool down moment. Everyone's going to take a glass of water so they can wash down the next pill they're going to take at your rave. I like the section a lot. The like higher synth line that could also almost sound like a string or something like that. I like that. The chord sequence they're picking there is quite dramatic. It's got this like big kind of like almost finale of a sci-fi film, which I guess is probably what they're going for. Kind of reminds me a little bit more of like Fatboy Slim maybe in that regard. But I like that. It kind of like it's given the song slightly more melodic hit for a second, which I think it could do with. Oh. Maybe, I don't know. See, the vocal tone that they use there, which I know is massively changed and altered, but whatever, but almost made me think of like throat singing, you know, it's got this kind of Mongolian, maybe even a little bit more kind of Native American, Native Australian kind of indigenous thing to it, which I like. It definitely adds this, you're definitely going on a journey with this song, like despite the fact that the lyrics have been basically impossible to understand the entire way, you definitely are going on a journey. It's kind of like rising and falling, and I feel like you are kind of like breaking into an alien cave of some sort or something like that. It's good. The tone on the bottom of that bass synth line is juicy though. I feel like there's a little bit more of that slightly microtonal feel to this part here, that lead line, which almost sounds like a guitar, not quite, almost sounds like a guitar, but that's kind of like, almost got a bit of like kind of Indian music influence in there, something like that. Like they're definitely pulling from some strange genres to sort of factor into this, because this bit makes me think a little bit of like a Jason Status song maybe. I'm hearing loads and loads of influences from various bands that are in this kind of scene. That was a fun little dropout section there as well. They actually, like, you know, also the sort of turn off for a second and back up again. Like the actual space left wasn't very much because that sort of like wind down, but they're bringing it back up again and including that string line or synth string, whatever it is there. I think it's really good. It definitely brings the sort of like, I don't know, urgency, I guess. This kind of like feeling that things are kind of like going wrong and it's all quite dramatic is reinforced by this section. See, I really like that. That almost sounded like the tone of like a grandfather clock. The ding, 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 ding. Again, it's got this kind of apocalyptic finality feeling to it as you have this other little dropout section before. I'm assuming it's all going to kick up and go crazy again. Okay, more vocals. There's that tone again. Okay. See, I was expecting it to really, really kick in back then. We had that kind of like little lead in from the drums, but actually they've kept it lower in the mix. They've kind of like taken out a lot of the bass for it. It's way more trebly, and it's kind of like actually functioning to keep the tension going. It hasn't quite fully resolved itself yet. I like this synth outro quite a lot though. Like, it really feels like those synths were like just about kind of like pulsing to kind of return. But yeah, what a trip that was. Yet again, King Gizz have just decided to completely abandon everything they've done before and just do it again, but in a completely different scene. I can see this being, you know, something that was like originated from a rave, but like a really intelligent rave because it's King Gizz. So they, you know, their theory and stuff is just absolutely wild. It's interesting. They didn't overdo it with too many ideas going at the same time. And kind of back and forth, it moved in very obvious sections in a way that was actually quite compelling to me. It really did pull you along and introduce new ideas at a clever rate. Not enough for you to be overstimulated, but enough to really feel like you're moving through phases, which I appreciated. Some of those tones were absolutely delicious as well. Again, I wouldn't be surprised. I imagine that, well, I mean, I know that they were using Nathan to make this entire thing, but, you know, wouldn't be surprised to find out, you know, that they've got, like, you know, a warehouse full of, like, really interesting analog synths of various types, and just sit there going, oh, we're just going to get the frequency just right to get this little bit here. It was really good. It's not a genre of music I find myself listening to very often. What I can see, though, is this album, when it's out, if it's all going to be in a similar sphere to this, that it could be really, really great music, for me at least, to sort of have on whilst I'm doing something manual. Like, it's definitely got enough energy, enough hooks, enough transitions for it to kind of keep you riveted. If you're doing something, if I'm painting, or if I'm climbing, or if I'm maybe not editing, but you know what I mean. sort of doing something that just requires me to not get distracted by vocals too much. I can see this being quite good. Even kind of like gorming out whilst I'm driving is plausible. So I liked it from that perspective. It's definitely, if I was going to listen to music that sounds like this, it would be King Gizz's version of it. And also, for a second, can we talk about the music video? Because the music video was, pretty high budget. I really liked the visual style. The costumes were clever, the practical effects, the makeup for the alien creature that was on there. Well, great. I really, really liked it. It was simultaneously quite silly, but quite sinister at the same time. The way, sort of like the slightly grainy, lo-fi, analog feel to the entire thing. But then also totally outlandish. We've got this alien creature that ends up having like a rave that's in a cube in its stomach that they all plug into, and they're kind of dancing at the same time. I don't know, but I'm telling you now, things like that costume, specifically the alien costume, they don't get made overnight. You know, if somebody wants to go, hey, Creature Kid, could you make me this prosthetic? Creature Kid is not like, cool, I'll have it tomorrow. That's a process. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on to make that. Considering that they only released the last album a year ago, and they've written and recorded, I imagine, the majority of it already, and they're putting stuff. They must have had the concept for this music video done a while ago for it to get through all of the filming, getting the actors in, especially because considering one of the actors is like, at least a name guy, right? And it's a film all, edited all. It's the turnover is fucking insane when, again, you have to factor in the fact that these guys have been raving, touring, writing, and supposedly having a home life at the same time. So yeah, hats off to them. This is probably not going to end up being my favorite King Gizz album because it's simply not part of a genre that I like as much, but it's never anything other than massively interesting. I've got so much respect for this band. I've never seen them. I would kill to go and see a King Gizz album playthrough or live show of any kind, really. But yeah, I guess that's probably all I've got to say on that one. So let me know in the comments. I'm very curious, what's your take on this most recent pivot? Is this a genre that you like? And if it is, what about this? Does it separate itself? Is it better than the average? I feel like it must be, but maybe that's just a bit of bias creeping in. So if you do have any informed opinion about that, let me know down there. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. It helps to grow and build things and so on and so forth, which is all very, very lovely. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.